Hi, Bijayini. A very good evening to you. And it is such a pleasure and privilege to be talking to you, especially after your digital showcase, which we saw about a week ago. I mean, what a brilliant showcase that was. Congratulations on your grant and the digital showcase. So before we talk about that, this chat is actually meant for SIFAS and for the SIFAS dance alumni. So my welcome to you is on behalf of SIFAS as well. I'm sure they'd all like to know about your dance journey. So let us go back to your roots, perhaps. Could you tell us something about how it all started in Orissa? Over to Bijayini.
I have to go back to my school where I joined the kindergarten, and I was part of the Mother and Sri Aurobindo's alternative school of Institute of Integral Education. There was a lot of emphasis on extracurricular activities. Dance, being in Orissa, Odissi dance was a part of it, folk dances and all that also. But mainly dance. And at kindergarten, there was a lot of scope for just do whatever you like to do. And I found myself, and my teachers found myself dancing. And there was a special room in which we were taught dance classes. If nobody found me anywhere else, they knew that I would be there. My earliest memory is just lying in what would be called, Vishnu sleeping on his face towel.
Okay.
That posture, I remember the memory of experience of that form.
Was this in Bhubaneswar?
Yes.
Okay.
In Orissa, in Bhubaneswar, in
Okay.
Institute of Integral Education. And I remember lying there, and that was my first awareness of what dance feels like in the body. It was just a posture. But I remember lying there and kind of changing my positions a little bit and feeling, and I must have been really small, like 5.5, 6 or something like that. So that's my earliest memory, but I also remember that we had, continuing on, we had 3 days of dance, 3 days a week we had dance classes. And there was there was a very senior teacher, Guru Durgacharan Ranveer. He used to come and teach dance because he was the dance master for our principal's 2 daughters. He used to teach them. So obviously he was the choice for them. Dance classes there. And soon, within 2 years, my school music teacher spoke to my dad. I don't know what she noticed, but she said, I think we should send her to a dance school also. And my father my father was a passionate flautist, was a banker, but his passion was playing the flute, making the flute. And he asked he used to do sangat, basically collaborate with a rhythm player, tabla person. So he asked his tabla company, saying that, where do you think, I don't know anything about dance, where do you think I should send her? And he suggested that Guru Gangadhar Pradhan has just opened his new school, and apparently he teaches technique really well. And I joined the first batch. Basically, I was taken there one day, and I saw this big group of dancers, and everybody looked like they were better than the other. Everybody was like in 6, 7, 8. Little. There were 30 of them or something like that. And next thing, I'm greatly excited about joining that class. But I have very clear memory of that excitement, and the first memory of embodying dance. I have very, very vivid memory of that. That's where it all began.
Okay. It's actually very remiss of me. I did not introduce you to the audience. I mean, Bijayini actually needs no introduction. She's come and performed in Singapore for SIFAS as well. And she is an Odissi dancer who was with Nrityagram for about 25 years. And now she is on a solo journey, and she's considered one of the best dancers, not just in India, but she's considered one of the best dancers in the world of this form Odissi. And recently, she actually got a grant to create a digital work during this COVID. And that was by, I think, Barishnikov Art Center. I mean, Bijayini will talk about it. But that showcase premiered on Feb 1st, and it's part of a larger work that Bijayini is working on. So that is the brief introduction to Bijayini. Now let us move on. So what is what comes out in most of these interviews and talks is Bijayini is how when she was a dancer in Odisha, and Pratima Gauri of Nrityagram was looking for a company dancer, she went to Odisha and she did an audition and selected Bijayini. So tell us that story. We've heard bits and pieces of it.
Yes, I think by this time I had finished about 12, 13 years of training in Odisha Dance Academy. Having learned under many teachers, Odisha Dance Academy ran in the way that it housed a lot of students of dance who studied in music college and universities for a degree. So Odisha Dance Academy housed them, and those teachers, instead of paying for the housing, they taught classes, and they must have earned money also. So every year I graduated to another teacher's class. I was taught very, very well. By 12 years, I was performing a lot also. There was at least 4 to 5 performances a month that I was performing. But I had also reached a point of, I don't know, a point of reflection where I was wondering what next? Where can I go from here next in terms of dance? It was not a very conscious investigation, but it was a push from within that I was looking for more. That was very clear to me, and the answer not being there for whatever reason, I don't want to go into the details of it now. It's not relevant anymore. But the answer not being there, I was beginning to lose interest. But it was a very short span, very, very short span. And one day, it was a ritual almost that I would be somewhere else, and it wouldn't be my day to be in the dance class or rehearsal. And a phone call would come. My father would appear saying that, "Oh, sir wants you there in the class. There's a performance or rehearsal. You go there." I was not expecting anything, and suddenly my dad came saying that you have to go there. There are some visitors, and you have to dance. And this was during that time when I was losing interest. And I really didn't take care. I used to be very particular about wearing an iron sari and things like that for rehearsal. But I didn't take much care. I went there and I saw Sanjukta Panigrahi along with Pratima Bedi sitting there, and I didn't know she was Pratima Bedi. I didn't know her name. I didn't know how important she was. I didn't know what kind of a dancer she was. I didn't know her personal, the big stories that came out later. I had no idea. I danced. I remember she wanted to see the girls first, the female dancers first, and then the male dancers. We thought we were just showing them our dance. I mean, that's what I at least thought. After she saw all of them, I was called to the office and I was asked if I had a passport. And I obviously didn't have a passport. And that's all. No one had any discussion with me. Nobody asked me if I was interested. Nobody told me what was happening. And the next instruction came to me from my teacher saying, you will arrive at Sanjukta Panigrahi's house at 9 a.m. in the morning for the next 3 days, and your passport is going to be made. So obviously also that told me that something is happening until I went home. And my mother said, you have been selected. She has selected you for a US tour that they are planning from the school. And obviously I was over the moon that I was going somewhere with dance. So it was immediately an answer to where I was, and I was feeling all that lack of something. That something was happening now. There was a change. There was a new way. There was a new door opening. Yeah, so that's where it all began. The next day, I arrived at Sanjukta Panigrahi's house where Gaurima was staying, And she always wore white those days, white Kerala mundus. She was on a typewriter. She traveled.
Oh, okay.
She was writing letters, and she had her reading glasses almost at the perched at the tip of her nose, and then she
Huh, huh.
my large eyes with her large eyes, and then she sent me off with Sanjanani's son to the office of the passport office. 3 days I went. On the third day, she spoke to me and said, "You have any reviews you can bring?" I asked her, "Reviews?" She said, "Yeah, reviews, write-ups about you. Have you done? You have been writing, yes, right?" I
Huh.
said, "Yes." She said, "How many performances have you done?" I said, "I don't know, 300, 400, 500." She said,
Oh
"And
my God.
you must have things written about you in newspaper." I said, "No,
Huh,
there's nothing like that." Then she
huh.
held me and she looked at me, and that look I remember very clearly, the piercing look going straight into my heart, where she said that, "You deserve better than that." And I remember that because I remember that being the first conversation between her and me. That was the interaction. And yeah, then I arrived in Natigra very soon, having had my passport.
Oh, so you just packed your bags and left home and came to
Yes,
Bangalore.
yes. That was the understanding was I was going on a tour. So I would go
Okay,
train for some time, come back, pack a bag for an international tour, go back again.
okay,
I would be back for 2 weeks and go. But as soon
okay,
as I landed the first time to learn the choreography, I knew I was never going to go. That
okay,
first moment I stepped in, I knew that that was home and I was going to
okay.
be there. I was never going to go.
So when you landed in Nrityagram back then, did you think that dance was going to become such an integral and intrinsic part of your life, and you will almost be living dance? Did you ever think that it
That
would be
day, I
that
knew
way?
that day when I found Instagram, I realized this is what I was looking for. This was what I was searching for. That I was. I don't want to say that I was meant to do that because that sounds almost like a prophetic, some divine something. But I just want to say that was my desire, and that became very clear that there was some unrest in me in Orissa because I was searching for more and didn't know which path would give me that. And here, when I just landed in a space where there was abundance of space, scope, and time for dance, for investigation, for I didn't even know what was to come when I landed.
Okay,
Just in that space,
yeah,
you've been there. When you land up in a
yeah.
space like that, I felt like, oh, okay, all the possibilities. There is room for all the possibilities here. So this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to be dance. I'm not going to study. I had finished my graduation exam. I was waiting for my results, but it was
Okay,
all very clear in that 1 second that I will be here. I will buy a piece of land. I will build my house here because I have to vacate my room that some other student can occupy. All these thoughts came one after the other, and
okay.
everything became true in a matter of 5 to 7 years. Everything became true,
Oh,
and I
wonderful,
stayed on.
wonderful. Yeah. So when you landed, I mean, what were the emotions going through your mind? Was it just excitement of a new life? Was there some kind of fear as well, or
Yes,
yeah,
yes. There was a lot of apprehension. There was a lot of fear because
yeah,
it was also the first time I was stepping out of my home, which was a very
home.
sheltered life. Yes, I had not traveled outside Odisha much. I would have gone to Delhi maybe once and crossed the border of Odisha to just a little neighboring
Hmm.
state a little bit, but not far for long. And here I was going away and uh, new people, new land, new language because we spoke in English. There was no Oriya, and then there was Kannada. There was no Oriya
Yeah,
even in the background. So it was just
yeah.
everything was very new. But the excitement of dance was so overpowering that all of that subsided very, very soon. And I only remember being at a heightened state of excitement for 3 years. For
Yeah.
exactly 3 years. I came in
Having
90.
seen Nrityagram, I can imagine. I can totally
Yes.
imagine.
And I revisited, I think everything that I had learned, I started relearning, looking at it differently with new eyes. All of that was just kind of so many. wonderful, new, what's it called, paradise opening in front of me, little nooks and corner niches are just opening into beautiful pictures in the dance world with me, that I remained excited for 3 years until I did my debut. And then, of course, then there was a sense of responsibility because I have received so generously. There was at the time I came, I didn't have to pay to learn. I was taken in as one of the members, and those days there were no fees charged for learning. And also, I joined as an ensemble member. Then Gorima very quickly asked me to do the conditioning, lead the conditioning classes for the fellow dancers. So then she also asked Shirupa and me to start our own Gurukul so that she could step back. And we started our own Gurukul in 1998, took the first batch of students. Ironically, they started exactly on the day she passed, on August 18th, 1998. So, and then there was just a sense of responsibility, having received so much, so generously, so open-heartedly, that I wanted to serve. I wanted to be there, and of course, my dance, my journey, my ideas about dance, everything was being challenged and pushed to the next level every single day. The collaboration with Shurupa has been one exciting one, and finding new things every single day almost. That there was no looking back. But it all happened not just with excitement, but with a sense of responsibility.
I can imagine. I mean, having visited Nrityagram, and had a little glimpse of, your day there, I can imagine how it must have been. So the kind of life that you and Shirupa led, it's not what an everyday dancer does. I mean,
Yeah.
your kind of immersion in the form, and you sort of live and breathe dance every single day. So obviously, I mean, to have reached the level that you have reached, one has to undergo that kind of immersion. So can you just talk about how you got technically perfect, or how important that is, and whether you get technically perfect and then you just transcend it and sort of it becomes a part of you?
I don't, you know what, I'm not really sure that one has to live the way of living at Instagram. Yes, it is the ideal way of doing it, I know, but I know there are dancers like Alar Milwali, there are Malavika Sarukai, Priyadashini Govind, beautiful, amazing dancers who have not lived that lifestyle, but
Yeah.
they have had an immersion of a certain kind. They have created that immersion for themselves in the world they live. Here
Okay.
we had a support structure
Yeah.
which made possible, which facilitated for us that kind of a no distraction immersion into a perfect, ideal way of life of an artist. So you start the day, you live amongst this beautiful nature. You have in the morning room and time and space in the mind. You have the space to hone your body, to condition your body so that it's prepared for the skill training of the form. When we do the form, we have the time to do skill training for the form because we have more time to learn choreography, and we can do that because we have more time to work on creating new work. When we are allowed so much time, of course, a lot of people when they saw us, they said, oh, it looks like a nunnery, you have sacrificed so much. But for me, it was my choice. Nobody made me do this. It was
Hmm.
my choice. I chose this life, so it didn't feel like a sacrifice. It seemed like a privilege that, oh, I got
Hmm.
the opportunity to do it, so I was the
Yeah.
chosen one. So it seemed like a reward. It never felt like at all a sacrifice to me. It
Yeah,
was
that's
hard. Yes, it was. It is a hard life when you see it from outside. It's also very
yeah.
romantic to see from outside. A lot of students, when they see this, say, "Oh my God, this is perfect. If I could do this," but ask yourself at that time, can you really do this? So that is where that little line lies between whether it's a sacrifice or whether it is a choice of this really ideal. You have been like, if you are asked how would you want to become a dancer? How would you want to train? Then probably you would say this. But there is one thing to say and there's one thing to do it. Doing it is very hard. But that doesn't mean that others who haven't lived this lifestyle have not immersed in this tradition. These are composite art forms, the traditional arts. It's not just a movement vocabulary. The movement vocabulary has a connectedness to architecture, has a connectedness to the religious rituals, the importance of the history behind, in all aspects of the history of the land, everything has impacted the dance form. So it's a composite art form, and that is why the immersion is needed. It's not only doing the exercises and then doing the dance skill and then dancing. It's also the studies. You have to invest a lot of time in understanding poetry, literature, the mathematical geometry of the form and the rhythm, the music, all the understanding, and everything requires time. Everything requires time. So it's almost doing multiple degrees at the same time. When you learn dance, you're actually doing multiple degrees in different subjects. So to have had the luxury of the time and space to really live every moment, to have the absolutely no worries, no distraction, and just invest that time in just dance and nothing else was a luxury and indulgence. It's a gift, and I chose it.
That's wonderful, actually, because looking from outside, I mean, it seems like such a daunting choice, to go and live there in almost in seclusion and practice, be immersed in this form. I mean, it's like sadhana. That's the only word that I can apply to what you all did. But I mean, and doing that by choice is so it's so remarkable, actually. And so now I'd like to talk about how international you are. For example, see, when I see Indian classical dance, it still remains a niche kind of art form, and most people who appreciate it have some kind of knowledge of it or knowledge of the aesthetics to be able to appreciate it, and to actually transcend that and sort of appeal to a universal international audience is something. And I think you have managed to do that, transcending, especially if you go and read all the reviews of yours on say New York Times. I mean, those are the guys, they don't know Odyssey, but the kind of things that they write about you and your dance, it's so remarkable to read, and you feel, oh how lovely that a person who doesn't know this form actually understands where she's coming from, the movement vocabulary and the body conditioning, whatever you call it. I mean, they understand this and they relish it so much. So tell us how it feels to be such an international star, if you will.
I feel very, very ordinary, and I have my own fears and everyday fears, in fact, because I have my standards to meet. I have my standard. It's not a standard set by somebody else. I have my standards, and I am working towards it every day. And as it was a struggle before Instagram or during Instagram, it is still now the same. It's all the same. About an art form being a global, universal art form, or it being individual niche, as you say, or ethnic, regional form, I feel is flamenco international? Is flamenco more international than Odissi? Is ballet more international than Odissi, and why is it? Or even within Indian dances, is Bharatanatyam more international or more universal as Odissi? I feel it is what I feel about my dance. Actually, dance per se is an universal expression. When you feel happy, Renuka, I don't know whether you have learned dance or not. I'm sure as a South Indian, you have gone to a Bharatanatyam class. But when you feel happy, you dance, a child dances. And, people throw up their arms and make a movement. Movement is the prerogative of every human being. Yeah, so dance is for us our language of expression where there is no speech. When we want to emote, and it can't be, it's overwhelming. It can't, it's not containable within, and there is no word to express it. Then dance comes out of it. Dance has, that's why existed for time immemorial. But the thing is that if I treat my dance as regional, then it becomes regional. So for me, my dance is a way to express myself, and myself is a human being as equal to, as good as an Odia or a Tamil person or an American or Belgian. It doesn't. The borders blur there. So for me, when I present my dance, I'm connecting with other human beings. And even if it has its own specificity in its culture, if I start to begin to speak to the audience as a global individual through my medium, then it is as universal as a ballet dancer dancing for me, the Indian audience, or a flamenco dancer dancing for me, the Indian dancer. Because for me also, they are very much from their own space. But I don't know. I think if you begin to feel like this is my dance, this is my expression, then it is just my way of speaking. It's like another language. That is it. Like English is a language which has become universal. Oriya is yet to be, but it is just another language. And the grammars, everything kind of falls parallelly in similar draft as any other language. So for me, I have not felt that my dance has anything less to be, anything less, that it lacks the capacity to be appreciated by somebody else. And also, when you think that way, you make the effort, or the effort becomes inherent in the presentation, that you communicate with every individual in the audience. And I think because of that, the audience anywhere probably are able to connect. When they have an into your space, then they can come in comfortably. If I feel like, you don't know enough to know about my dance, it's so special that it will sit there on the wall, and it is that great, beautiful thing that you must from very far appreciate and worship and don't touch. If I present my dance like that, it will remain like that. But if I give you an in into my space, then you will want to come in. It's like going to a museum. Museums have artifacts and things from every part of the world, and it's open to any individual from any part of the world, and we all connect with each thing equally. So for me, my dance is my expression. I'm a global individual. Yes, I belong to one place. I can only live in one space, and that becomes my context. And I happen to be born in Orissa, where the dance form comes from, to my advantage. And so with great pride, with great conviction, with great confidence, I then present it to the world. But I don't think of it as, in fact, my effort with Abhipsa, with Vibhanga, is being that my dance form has the capacity to stand by itself, without the support of, we don't have to constantly say, this is 2000 years old, remind you, no, I'm telling you, this is 2000, so this is special. I don't have to say that. The movement language contains it all. That beauty, that knowledge, that wisdom of centuries is contained in that form. So I want to take just the form out of its little space and say that, look at this form, look at the wisdom of this form. It's as global as anything else. So that's how now I treat my dance. And I think probably Gaurima did, and she shared that with us. And Shurupa's vision of choreography was that way. The way we have expanded the vocabulary at Nityagram contained the idea that look at it as a movement vocabulary, not an Odia thing. It's become a movement vocabulary. Many hundreds of people have put their minds into it and their blood into it. Body memory, blood memory has been carried on from generation to generation, has been passed on to us. So when we have received something so refined, and so time tested, that it already has so much strength to continue. Now for us, it's just very simple thing to take it forward into the world. It has moved. As you can see, that it used to be practiced in a temple, temple to people, people to becoming a classical dance form to be recognized. I mean, however controversial that term is, and then nationals to be recognized nationally, then internationally. Indrani Rahman went and performed it in New York, and all of that, and then it spread. And you see that it's been like in an explosive spread in the last 22 decades almost. That Odissi is everywhere. So it has the capacity. No one can stop it. So I feel like it's mostly my approach, whether I want to present it to the Oriya audience in an Oriya festival, or to the Madras Sabha audience, or to a Delhi audience, a Sikmeke Indian context audience, or I want to take it SIFAS, or I want to take it to New York Joyce, where there are members from every part of the world in that audience, and I'm speaking as a global artist. Yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, that's a wonderful answer.
Thank you.
So now let's so now, I mean, after having spent 25 years in Nrityagram, how is it to embark on a solo journey? How has it been? It's been about a year plus, right? And then of course COVID happened. But so how has your solo journey been so far?
Scary. At the same time, I also have all the tools with me. So there is a sense of confidence that I know my dance. I have, as we talked about immersion, I have given it enough time, and I have tried to embody it as with whatever honesty and integrity. And I from that, I have the confidence of knowing it in my body. And so there is that confidence, and that's why there is the tool. We were trained very well. We performed all over the world, and we presented lecture demonstrations, performances, and we spoke about the art. So all that confidence is there. So there is that. At the same time, when you have a support structure of a group, of a duet setup, of a trio, of an amazing choreographer's work, of a production, of a brand name, all of that, then you just do your bit. But here, all of that bit I have to do, everything I have to do. So it's a lot of work, but it's also exciting because I'm learning about the parts of the wheel that I didn't know make the wheel, make it turn, function. It's exciting. It's become less scary in these few months, but the first year was very hard for me. Even if it was a conscious decision, like it was a choice I made, but it was hard, and I questioned whether it was the right thing I did, whether it was needed to be done, and whether it was an absolute idiotic mistake that I made. All of that. But I feel better now about it.
So you spoke about Gaurima presenting you. So what was it like? I mean, what you were with her for about 5 years?
Yes.
Was that 5 years?
Well, yes, I joined in 93 and I was presented in 97 in 4 years. She lived till 98. So in 97, she had decided to present soloists from the school of Nrityagram.
Okay.
Had the ability to become soloist. Shurupa was the first one to be presented in 1996, and I was the second in 97.
But you already touring and traveling for Nrityagram.
As a group member.
Okay.
In Odissi, there isn't. It's caught on in the recent times that I think to match Bharatanatyam's Arangetram tradition, there is something that is called Mancha Pravesh that is being introduced in Odissi. But
Okay.
Odissi doesn't have any of that. Odissi doesn't
Okay.
have a ritual of presentation of a soloist. So Gaurima, I think perhaps was the first one to start the solo, what she called a debut performance. So
Okay.
she took the dancer and basically presented the dancer to the art connoisseurs of Delhi. The critics came and there were press reviews and stuff, so that word got out that this person is beginning to dance and is worthy dancing solo and that kind of thing. So and when she did publicity, press related stuff, she did it in style. She knew that aspect very well. Yes, so I was presented in Delhi Kamani Theatre as a soloist in 1997 from Nityagram as the second soloist of Nityagram.
So how did Gaurima influence you and your thinking, and how you been leading your life since she passed?
I wish I was influenced more by her. I mean, I know what I admired in her. I admired in her the absolute, um, you know, confidence and no fear. She didn't have no in her vocabulary.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm not able
I
to.
mean, she was
All
she
of
was
this.
she was her own person,
She was
right?
her own person. She wrote her own history. She rewrote her own history. She changed the patterns, the path of her life as she felt, with great conviction and confidence. And like I was telling you that I stepped away to get on this solo journey, and then I have been questioning myself for a year, and I have thought of her a lot, thinking that
Hmm.
what she have done. If she there's this little thing story from her life where her daughter asks her, "Mama, why are you running away from everything all the time?" Because she was constantly going from one thing to another thing, to
Hmm.
another thing, to another thing.
Hmm.
And she said, "Why are
Hmm.
you looking at?" Garima replied to her daughter saying, "Why are you looking at it like that? Why don't you think that I'm running at something at that given time? I'm not
Hmm.
running away from something. I'm running at something."
Right,
The thing
towards
is that
something.
yes, towards something. I feel like it's something like a little child. When they're innocent, things catch their attention and they're drawn to it, so they leave one thing and they go to another thing. I don't think that child in us dies. We have constant
Hmm.
we have things we are constantly attracted to. And I see that in adults. Like I see my sister moving from, she didn't dance as a child. So she wanted to dance. She danced Kathak for some time. Then she learned Hindustani music. Now she is into yoga and nutrition in a very big way. She is a mathematician and so she is going from one thing to the other. I feel like the curiosity to find more from oneself, to just find, it's just undoing of that machine. We have been given ourselves as machines, so we must undo us to know the complete potential of it, that machinery that is us, that is me. And I feel that is why, unless we go towards somebody which is a different form of experience, maybe it's an art, it's a skill, whatever it is, unless we do that, we haven't done undoing of some part of ourselves. So I feel she did it with great confidence, without no apology of having, if she made a mistake. Yeah, so what? She made a mistake.
Hmm.
And mistakes have to be made, rules are to be broken, and do it with confidence. Do it with conviction. I feel like I could have learned more from her. But these are the things I remember. And she was extremely generous. And I remind myself that when I become narrow, I try to notice my narrow perspective, and I try to look, have have a enlarged vision, and be more open to things, and be more generous, be more giving. Um, she was all of that.
So when you say generous, you mean generosity of spirit.
Yes, yes, yes. Giving, I have also been in I've learned with many teachers, and I know how it is, the dance world. It's tough. It's tough, the giving, learning, the balance of the give and take and all of that. But the way uh, I was embraced by her, I was embraced into her native rank, and the way I was taught, I knowing fully well, she must have known fully well, and she did announce me initially as a dancer from Guru Gangadhar Orissa Dance Academy. She did that also, but at the same time, she included me with great pride in her space. I never thought of it as, oh, I was so great that she took me with happiness. I felt like it was, for me, it was a privilege, and for her, on her part, it was a great level of generosity.
So let us come to, what has been going on in the world, in your world, in my world, and in everybody's world for the past year.
Oh my God!
So how has it been this past year, especially as an artist, as someone who travels so much performing? So how has it been?
I have to say it's been beautiful, and I am not glad COVID happened. I am glad that the enforced pause happened because of COVID. So no admiration for COVID at all. If anything, if it can kindle a little awareness of the environment that is quickly, perishing in front of us, I think that will be the good takeaway from it. But what it did to us is just cancel everything, sit with yourself. You are a very, you reflect a lot, and I know you have read your writings. I know what it means when you look within and just acknowledge the things that are going on inside yourself. I feel all individuals need that. All human beings need that. And this, in some way or the other, to everyone, regardless of whether we were get set or we were sitting at home, it just changed. It shifted. Tectonic shifts happen under our feet so rapidly and in such a drastic measure that all of us were thrown off I feel like that rat race. I think even if the rat race is not for the money, but even my mother was in a rat race. No, it was the next thing, the next day, the next activity, and then suddenly she has everybody. She doesn't have anyone leaving her alone at home and going away to work. That she had a certain what's it called, a script that she could speak. That was her usual script. Now the script has to change. So when you have to change the script, everything has to change. Your act has to change. Your tools have to change. And I feel like that's done me a lot of good. When my 7-month tour got cancelled for 2020, I was supposed to start in April 1st and finish in November. UK, US, Europe tour. My first thing was a sigh of relief. Not that I was worried, I was excited about that travel. It was the second tour that I was going to do. But when I heard that I'm not going to go, I was like, oh God, I can just sit back and do so much this year. And I have gone to the dance floor almost every day and practiced. I have watched my garden embrace the seasons differently, which I have missed. I have seen them, the season come and touch the plants and go. I have enjoyed the grounds. I have stayed at home. I have spent time with my cats. I have adopted 2 puppies. I have done a lot. And those are all, this whole concept of me time was emerging. I think everybody was talking about, I need some me time. I think everybody's got their fill of me time now.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's a lot of me time because you have nothing else to do. So it's all me time. Do what you like and don't complain about it later. So I feel like I like it. I have liked it and I have no complaints about it.
Yeah. The one thing that I really like about this past year is that I've actually, I was always an outdoors person and very fond of nature and the environment around me. And I've lived in Singapore for 20 years, but I never appreciated, the effort that the government has undertaken to make this place actually so livable for each of its residents. I mean, in fact, I was telling somebody the other day, we've been walking. I've literally been walking, and I said, yeah, and I said, well, it's almost as though this country was preparing for this kind of lockdown where we will not, and Singapore being an island, we're actually not allowed to go anywhere. So all 6 million of us, we are within this, 700 square kilometers. And I'm saying it's almost as though they were preparing for COVID, and they made the place ready, for the residents not to complain and sort of enjoy nature. And you start enjoying the little things, and you complain less, and you get your fill of me time. I have also, actually totally relished this experience. And taking off from there was your digital showcase. So it's all yours. Tell us about it, how it transpired.
Well, it was not meant to be a digital showcase. It was supposed to, my tour that I was talking about just now was going to end with a preview of this Vibhanga, one part. It may not have been Vibhanga, it may have been another part, but a live performance. It is meant to be a live performance with 5 musicians on stage in a different format. When it comes to it, we'll see how it will unfold. It's to be tested and tried. So I was supposed to perform on October 8th at Baryshnikov Arts Center as part of their gala presentation, when they present a commissioned artist to their supporters and donors and funding people there. So then suddenly COVID happened, and then there was silence for a long time. I didn't know whether we were going ahead with the commission, whether what was I thought by October everything will be sorted, so I'll create some work and then we will go and present it. Then it seemed more and more. So by the time it became clear to me that it was going to be a digital work, we had lost a couple of months. I had started doing research in person on it in February last year, but I didn't know that it was going to be only going ahead virtually. So by about June, I knew that they were thinking that maybe it will be a digital preview. I mean, at least they were saying that it will be that instead of nothing at all. So I was glad, but then I had to begin this whole thing of digitally coordinating with my musicians. And this was a very ambitious endeavor where I chose musicians not from Orissa, not from Odissi tradition, but from elsewhere. So there is a North Indian tabla player, and there are 3 musicians who are from Karnataka, who are trained in Carnatic style, and there's also a Western musician in it who will be part of the eventual production. So there was a schedule for me to rehearse and coordinate with the musicians for months before, leading up to my October presentation that was planned. Now that's not happening, and everybody in their shelter at home situation in different parts, I had to start virtually beginning to articulate my idea. Something when everybody's seated in one studio, dance floor, and I say, I want to move like this, or I'm envisioning this idea, it is immediate. That give and take is immediate. It happens instantly. But here I had to throw in words. I had to really find the correct words and articulation for my idea, put it out there, and the email goes and reaches them, and then perceived in whichever situation in this pandemic, stressed out life or locked in life they are, and then they give me an output, something that has to come to me. Then I have to match it with what I had said when I had sent the email, and then so it was a very long process, but there was a lot of learning also in it, because I learned to articulate my ideas much more precisely. It had to be so. There was no other way. I also live in a place like I'm doing this from Bangalore city. I can't do this from home. I don't have good internet. So we had set up Thursday my Thursday morning and their Wednesday night meetings, which in which we would come and discuss that, the process we have been following is this, and does this work, does this not work? So we would just check in with each other and then delve into further work. So it took us about 2 to 3 months to finalize the music. I don't think we have arrived at our best yet. It's just, I would say, it's a draft that we have created, and it's going to get polished and refined when we meet. But nonetheless, I think as my first time choreography, having been thrown into this extreme situation to create it, I feel like it's been a great learning experience in every way. I would have liked to do my first work at least working in person, but first work to be virtual, I don't think it's a gift. I felt it's like my limits were being tested. Like, how far can you push yourself? But I learned a lot. Unless you are pushed into the deep end, you don't swim. So I had to just swim and emerge on the other side. Whichever bank it is, not the best bank probably, but something. I survived.
But when we actually saw the premiere, I mean, the thing that first struck me was all the frills are taken away. It's just you and the form. That's it. I mean, that's all that you see, and it's there's I mean, you're wearing a simple brown sari, and it's a completely dark stage, and so it's just you and the form. It's actually it's almost like a kind of prayer, prayer to dance. That's what it seemed like. And I was speaking to some friends yesterday at lunch, and they were talking about having watched this as well. Several people have watched it, and they have enjoyed it so much, and they are looking for the the next bit, the big bit that is coming. So what made you actually choose Lalgudi ji Tillana for this?
Well, like I was saying, that I have the confidence of just having embodied Odissi for such a long time and practicing it in that immersive way, that I feel like the dance is so rich. It can now stand. Yes, it's beautiful with Odissi music. It's beautiful with, I mean, next thing would be Indian context, taking it away from Indian context to another context, another story, another something. A lot of people have tried it. It's not like they haven't, but my trying I mean, I'm just beginning the first time. So I felt like I want to work with the confidence of knowing the art form, and it's inner workings, it's inner mechanics. The movement mechanics, the movement vocabulary, and just the richness of it all, that contains all that information, yet it's none of it. It's none of it in particular, but it's all of it. And so it becomes a language of its own. It becomes an art form of its own. And we do not have to always, we do not have to feel compelled to legitimize it by saying it's 2000 years old, or it is connected to Natya Shastra, or it is classical dance. I don't care if it is or if it is not. I only know that it is extremely intelligent form of moving. There has been a lot of investment of a lot of people, a lot of minds, great minds that have gone into it, who have worked on of refining the aesthetic of this particular way of moving so much that it can be an universal form for anyone to appreciate, for anyone to embody also. They don't have to be Odias, they don't have to be Indians, they have to be movers. If you're a mover, then you can access it. Like break dancing is danced by anybody from any part of the world. Nobody says, I don't know if Prabhu Deva is a break dancer or not, but if he is, then he's no less than somebody else. So I feel like this dance form also does have that capacity. And that's why my conscious thing was that it's the very first thing you feel like it is joined at the hip at is the music. So I wanted to take away the music, the musicality of that. It's Indian, still it's Indian, but Carnatic is as far as Odissi music as would probably be, jazz from Odissi music. It's very, as you know, Hindustani, Carnatic are very different. So I didn't want to throw myself off completely. So yes, it's a familiar realm. I know about Carnatic music, but I've not danced to. My body has not danced to Carnatic music. How Odissee's curves, the fluid and the long stretched curves, not the gamakas. We don't move not sharp way, but in a very rounded and in a very stretched, rounded way. Uh, those winding roads that go up on a hill is how I would say that we go in those round pathways in Odissi dance. I didn't know how it would translate, so I just allowed myself to 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 find my way through the music. Yeah, I don't know. I shouldn't say much about it. In the beginning, I know that Tilana starts at a very fast pace, and Odissi is a Madhya Laya dance. It's a medium pace. And it being a non-narrative for me, the reference of it is comes from what in Odissi is a Pallavi, where it unfolds as the raga unfolds. And to give that texture to the piece, I wanted to slowly open the raga out to the ears. And that's how the exploration of the raga in the beginning with just simple rhythmic punctuations where I just kind of fill the space with little bits of drums, which is mridangam and tabla, a Hindustani percussion and a South Indian percussion. And take inspiration from that to then allow the Tilana to settle in, to land, and take it from there to make it more ornamented as the melody of the Tilana.
Lovely. So as we are doing this conversation under the aegis of SIFAS, I just, you know that dance is actually a very popular discipline in SIFAS. In fact, we have the maximum number of students in dance, but mainly Bharatanatyam. And but people are doing it as a part-time thing. They're not doing it full time, but there are certain people who actually choose to then take it as a full-time vocation. So what is the advice that you would give to SIFAS dance students coming as you are with 30 years 40 years of dance behind you?
I really don't feel like I know anything at all. But like we discussed before, I mean, we talk about it being an immersive study. When I think any learning of any art form has to be an immersive study, and that immersion doesn't have to be you go into the seclusion of an Instagram to do it, but you can also do it as Chandralekha did, as Malavika Sarukai has done, living in the middle of Chennai city, and a family structure like Priyadarshini Govind has done, and Lilaka has done, having served. They have held jobs and pursued their art form. So there are, but whatever it may be, it requires a certain commitment and building a relationship with the art form. There's a constant dialogue between oneself and the artist within oneself, because who I am, I'm not on stage. To recognize what is the enlargement of that self that takes place and really appreciate it. If that is not there, then something is amiss, I feel. The connection immediately becomes clear for us, I feel, when we have a value for what happens to us on stage, not the writings afterwards, because I know no real artist really cares about reviews or what somebody said, somebody didn't say. Because what I come home to after having done real hard work of that performance is my experience of it. And that experience, if it is not something that is giving me heightened sensation, that my mundane regular life of buying the most beautiful, extremely expensive sari doesn't give me, something else doesn't give me, something else, reading a book doesn't give me, watching a movie doesn't give me, that gives me, then place that value there and, put your money there. Put your money in the sense, put all your value there with whatever, whether it is part-time, whether it is full-time. It needs to it needs to be reciprocated with that value. So I feel like what is the first thing is how important it is, how important it is in terms of that experience, because it boils down to that. For me, it boils down to that. And it's extremely important. Without it, for me, no day is a good day. So I feel like that's why it has to come first. And dance is first. Yeah.
So I think, we are nearing the end of our conversation. It's been so lovely talking to you, sitting in Bangalore. Bangalore is my place, actually, and I've not been able to, visit for almost 2 years now. So I really miss Bangalore weather. I say, having lived in Singapore for so long, where it's hotter and hottest, so you miss that Bangalore kind of weather, where you wake up in the morning and that little nip in the air.
Yeah.
Oh, I miss that nip in the air. Anyway, so thank you so much for agreeing to do this. And it's been wonderful. And I've been, of course, watching you and following you on IG. And you've been busy doing your body conditioning and everything.
Yes.
And I'm a very, very loyal follower. I go in the morning and I check out your IG page and I say, okay, what new thing does she have to say today, kind of thing. So this beautiful dance form, Odyssey, Indian classic dance. You are a kind of torch bearer for this dance form. So what do you think is the future of classical dance? Is it in good hands? Is its future safe?
I think the dance forms are good themselves because they have. I mean, I have only appeared in the course of its uh, journey. Now, maybe
Journey.
2,000 years later, it has been coming, moving for 2,000 years. So I feel it's powerful by itself, within itself. Uh, but I just have a sense of responsibility. When I'm doing something I don't respect it, I treat it with respect. I treat it with its value of, all those years of uh, minds, cooking, and it's like a percolation that has taken place, and then what we are receiving is just the juice of it, the extract of it, the finer and finest extract of it. I feel like so much has it's the attar we have received, and all that cuss has gone into it, and all that work has gone into it, all that fire, all that sweat, everything has gone into it. I feel like we don't have to do much to make it survive. We just have to respect it, and it will survive on its own. I feel like I'm not important. The art is very, very important. The little time in its journey that I serve, I don't want to disrupt its flow. If anything, I just want to treat it with respect. It may become an addition. It may feature in there as a little speck, a decoration, a drop, or not. I don't want to be a blemish. But if it is a blemish, it will be seen as a blemish, never to be tried again. But I don't really have the confidence to say that I am really doing something great to Odyssey. I am excited about what I do. I feel extremely privileged for having had everything in the right place at the right time, so that I can devote my life to dancing. I've made those choices because everything was just so in my life. And I feel like it's a gift. Because otherwise, I think 1.3 billion people would be dancing. Everybody is not a dancer. There are very few people who are dancing. I think it's a gift. Because when I go into my dance world, it is such a huge world. I have access to such reaches within myself and outside of myself, that there is no one can buy any air ticket, how much ever money you have. One cannot buy air tickets and go there. So it's just a privilege for me to have that access, and I feel like I want to just hold it with the greatest care.
That is so wonderful, Bijayini. Thank you so much once again for actually coming over to the city to do this chat with us. And I hope you can come to Singapore and do Kalpana, which was the last performance of yours that I saw at the Music Academy last year. We can perhaps do it in Singapore, and you can add a little bit of your Vibhanga to it as well.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
I'm looking forward to things opening up and having you visit Singapore again. So we'll see each other soon, perhaps in Bangalore, perhaps in Singapore. And in the meantime, wish you all the very best in your journey.
Thank you.
And we will be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Namaste.
Takita tak tari kita takita tak thei takita tak thei ta thei trigadhei 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 ta thei ta thei ta thei ta thei thei ta trigadhei
Rima sa